So, hello everyone. Hope that you're having a great session so far. And today I will be talking about Uno platform. So, the idea of Uno is that you can run WinUI everywhere. So, uh, as you can see here, I am the Pedro Jesus. If you don't know me, I am a software engineer at the Uno platform. And probably, if you know me from the community and the open source world, you will see that I contributed a lot with the Xamarin Forms, .NET MAUI, and the community toolkit.MAUI. So even work with Uno, I still love the MAUI, I still love the forms, and now I have a new lover that is the Uno platform, and I mean it's all about the .NET building cross platforms, delivering cross applications everywhere, targeting all the devices that .NET totes. So let's see a little bit about the Uno here. If you don't know, there is a little bit of history and a little bit of architecture that I want to talk with you, and then we go to the demos, all right? So the idea of the Uno is that you can use your WinUI acknowledgement and XAML and C# and APIs and deliver your WinUI application on across all devices and platforms. So for example, you can target Windows, and when you target Windows with Uno, you are using the Microsoft WinUI 3 version. And you can target to WASM, and also macOS using Mac Catalyst or the macOS itself, and also you can target Linux with Uno, and also IoT devices. There is applications on fridges and another IoT devices that runs .NET. Then you can run Uno inside of that, and also Uno delivers a pixel perfect application. So if you need, it's something not sure if it's very common around the world, but here in Brazil, I see a lot of developers that leave Xamarin Forms / MAUI to Flutter because they want to have the pixel perfect approach. Like the Xamarin Forms approach is that you will have your application and your controls feeling native. So, for example, if you put a button on your screen, the button on iOS will looks like the iOS button for the platform, following the default guideline designs. And if you have a button on Android, that button will feel like an Android button. But if you want a pixel perfect, you just want your button to look like the same equally across all the platforms, and Uno can deliver that. So people from the .NET acknowledgement, .NET world that already know XAML, and the XAML between WinUI and Xamarin Forms is different, but not so different. So like if you have that acknowledgement about bindable properties and the XAML itself, you can easily migrate to the Uno platform. And because of that, I was mentioning that, right, the Brazilian developers go to Flutter. There is another language, there is another framework, there is another stack, just to have the pixel perfect. And you have a pixel perfect framework at home. So if you have the need to target pixel perfect applications and WebAssembly or Linux, you can go with Uno. Also, with Uno, you have a single code base where you can share your code between the platforms. So no code duplication. Everything you have to done is in C#, because for the mobile targets, for example, you just use C# and the Xamarin bindings, so you don't need to run away for C#. But you can also use the native bindings, the Xamarin bindings, for third-party libraries. And runs everywhere the .NET runs. You can have a third-party ecosystem. I will show that a little bit later. And it's free and open source as well, so it's amazing. We have a Figma plugin and a toolbox that can help you improve your time and be more and more productive. And we have also VS Code integration. So if you don't use the VS, the Visual Studio or the Rider tooling, you can use the VS Code that is more a lightweight text editor. So everything about the pixel. So here is an infographic that will show a little bit how Uno fits in this world. So on the right side here, we have the React Native and the Xamarin Forms that delivers you the native rendering of the controls. And at the left, we have the canvas renders. So we have here the frameworks like the Flutter that I mentioned before, and have also Vanilla. Both frameworks uses Skia to render the controls and the screens and everything else. And because of that, they can deliver pixel perfect screens. And we have the Uno that sits between those two words. So with Uno, we have a pixel perfect application because we draw the controls, but we also have the native behavior. So we draw the native controls. So for example, if you want to use, let's say, accessibility on your controls, you can have that, and the accessibility will looks like the native one because you are using the native capabilities and the native APIs to deliver the accessibility and other features. But that will be pixel perfect. So you don't need to care about running that on Android, then run that on iOS and check if the sizes match with uh, the design mock and everything else. So you can focus on one platform, and that will looks the same across all the platforms. And use also GPU acceleration. And since this is based on WinUI, so we use it like a control template for everything. So let's say that you want to customize a control in a more deep way. You don't need to. So we have an easy way to customize that control that using styles. So you can override our default styles just like you can with WinUI 3, and you can change how the control will looks like. So this is pretty cool and pretty handy. So a little bit of history here. Okay, so Uno is nothing new. Okay, so Uno exists since between 2013 and to AT&T. So we have between that time we have our version 1.0, but after 2018, actually during 2018, sorry, we open source the Uno and we deliver WebAssembly support for that. And at the end of the 2018, we have the full AOT support. In 2019, we have support for LoRi and mixed mode AOT. And in 2019 yet, we have our version 2.0 and also our inaugural Uno Conf. And in 2020, we have the version 3.0. We have the X-binding support, which is amazing. It works just like the X-binding for WinUI. So you can like have a compiled binding for static methods, for static properties, and that works just like a charm. And we have also in that era the VS Code support, Surface Duo, Android X, macOS, Material, so and FluentUI, so you can use those material guidelines like Cupertino, Fluent, and Material from Google on your applications. And also you have Linux support there. In 2021, we have the WinUI 3 and Reunion and Cupertino support as well. And we have that on day zero support. So we deliver on the version 3.0 the calendar, the grid, and the grid layout, and also our 3.11 version. We have the .NET 6 support at day zero as well. So we when Microsoft releases a version, we already support that. So this is amazing. You don't need to await anything to grab those new bits. And we have the version 4.0 and the UnoConf this year with the extensions, the toolkit. We'll talk about that later today, the Figma plugin, and the VS Code extension. And still this year, and the version 4.1 is all about performance. So we have a 30% boost of performance. And we have also Uno Island's Linux framework, Linux frame buffer support as well. And at the version 4.6, we have the .NET Conference Prize that is already there. So if you didn't catch the .NET Conf, go there. There is a talk. There's a Jerome's talk about the what we made for the WASM in .NET 7. There is more performance improvements, and there is also threading amazing things. So go and check that out after this event. And about the license of Uno, as I mentioned before, is open source and is under the Apache 2.0 license. And we also deliver a paid support. So if your company needs a specific support or a specific guidance or something, you can pay for that premium support. But if you don't need that, you can still use Uno. It's free to use, and that's just the support is optional, and if you need it. So let's talk a little bit about the coverage and the controls that Uno can deliver to you. So right now we have these and much more controls, all right? So this is like the default one. We have like easing functions for animations, scroll viewer, tab view. We have the acrylic support if you want to do like that Windows 11 acrylic style of things. And we have basic page transitions, just like the WinUI. Okay, so basically every control that WinUI supports, we also support on Uno. And one great thing about this is when you like start to develop with Uno and we need some guidance or you need some examples on how to do things, you can grab the Windows WinUI 3 Gallery application from the Microsoft Store. This is an amazing application. I will share that later, where you can just it's an application that will demo all the WinUI controls and will show you the code that way you can copy and paste that code on your project and customize as you need. So here is an example how they want to handle the things. So we have here like a pretty much simple XAML. So like if you are a Xamarin Forms developer as well, you'll see there is some things that looks the same and other things that is different. For example, I have here a text block that will be the label of the Xamarin Forms overall. But we have the slider and we have the grid on the Xamarin Forms as well, right? And as I mentioned before, it's pixel perfect. So if you see across all those targets, the slider and the label and the fonts and will look the same way. Of course, we have, for example, little ones that are bigger than others, but that is related to the screen resolution and density. So that you can change a little bit, but in general, you can see this feels the same across all the platforms. And uh, and the Microsoft is the largest code contributor with Uno. So Microsoft trusts us on this framework as well. So like you can go and use Uno without any fear. And every time that Microsoft delivers something for WinUI, for example, they help us to port that to Uno. Then they explain us how things works. Then we can implement that across all the platforms. So basically, Microsoft help us a lot with sharing code and guidance. And about the XAML support, what you can have with the Uno is like control template and data template. Use data a lot because it's like the WinUI side of the things. We use a lot of styling and theming. We have option to conditional XAML. So for example, if you want a control that just is visible on Android, we have a tag on the XAML that will make sure that that part of the block will just work on Android and not on other platforms. All right. So you don't. It's like a if def. You know that compilation directories like if Android does this and if iOS do that else. So you have that in XAML, which is pretty cool, pretty amazing. And native controls integrations, they have animations with visual states, state triggers, and storyboards as well. Data binding and X binding functions, shapes and brushes and pointers, and much more. So I will open here and let this loading while I keep going the presentation, but we will take a look on this gallery application and where we can see a lot of controls and theming on the Uno controls. Also, localization images, you don't need to care putting the images for each platform. You can just put that on the shared project, and we have MS Build tasks that will take care for you about that. You just need to use the Windows way of adding images, so that scale thing, and then we make sure to put those scaled images on the correct folders inside iOS and the correct folders inside the Android. Also, we have strings localized support, so you don't need to go on the iOS plist files or the Android strings.xml. You just use the hexw files in one place, and we also will map that for you. So no need to code duplication here. And we have support for animations with Lottie, and as you can see here, like page transitions, and we have those animations with when the behaviors when something goes wrong and you want to present some feedback, and here like transitions when you are opening a menu or tapping on a button. So it's fully customizable, very easy to use because you use the storyboard APIs, and you have a full power on that. We have also extensive libraries that support Uno. So any .NET Standard 2.0 library, Uno can run. For example, NewtonSoft.json and many others. And also we have a third-party controls from Syncfusion, Infragistics, and others are coming. And also we have MVVM frameworks like React Extensions UI, Prism, and MVVM Cross if you needed it. And you also can use the shiny and new MVVM community toolkit.mvvm with these amazing source generators. So you can use that at Uno as well. That will just work like a charm. And you can also use that with Xbinding, right? So it's amazing in all of the box. So here about the testing, because testing is very important. So you can have UI testings, and for the mobile targets we use the Xamarin UI tests, excuse me, and for WebAssembly we use Selenium. But in a way that is everything abstracted, so you don't need to write two codes, one for Xamarin UI test and another for Selenium. You just have the same abstraction API for both, and you can just test your application on WebAssembly, which is pretty cool. And one topic here, like on the on our toolkit, we have during the build pipeline, we build the application and publish a WASM version of the application. So during the PR, you don't need like to check out and build on our machines. You can just open the link and you can see the changes and how our sample application is looking like, and then we can test the controls inside our browser. And again, since it's pixel perfect, if this work in the same way on the WASM, that will work on the other platform as well. So this is pretty much amazing and is a time saver for us during the code review phase. And a couple of samples here on about the third-party libraries that we have here, the infragistics, where we have gauges, we have charts, we have the data grid there. So it's a pretty a we have a variety of the controls here and complex controls that you can use, and it's just ready to go. And also we have like the Sync Fusion integration here, I'm showing that on the WebAssembly. So we can interact all of those those charts here. You can zoom it, you can span, you can put the data labels into tip and even more. And we have the theme support as well, as I mentioned before. So like for if you want to use the Cupertino or Material or even the Fluent UI, you can do that, and that will look amazing in across the platforms. So here we have like some controls and some samples on how that will looks like, and you can choose that if you want, right? So if you don't want to, if you are building like an application, an indie application for you, if you're an indie developer and you don't have a designer for creating and installing things for you, you can easily use one of those themes here, and your application looks amazing by default. And this one is talking a little bit about the Uno extensions that we released this year. So this adds more power for the Uno. So we have like the Uno vanilla template for people like me that like to have control about everything and want just a blank and clean project to start. You can use the vanilla. But if you want to already have, for example, dependency injection support, roasting, environment support, so you can have like those, like ASP.NET Core, you can have JSON files with some properties. That properties will change between like if you have a debugging environment, a stage environment, and a production environment. So you can have that and you can read from that and apply those values. We have a localization and logging also built in. If you need those rich architecture and the right architecture to start, go with the Uno extensions. That will save you a tons of time and you deliver you start a project with the right architecture for you grow up your application. Also, inside the extension, you have all the abstractions for navigation. So, like in UI 3, for example, the way of you can present dialogues and pop-up is a little bit, I would say, verbose, because you need to grab the window handler that is like kind of pointer and use that pointer. So if you are using vanilla, for example, you need to do those extra steps for Windows. But with the extensions, we take care of that for you. So just call the methods and everything will work like a charm. And also you can use like support navigations on flyouts and tab navigations and modal navigations and push navigations. So the toolkit, on the toolkit, you have more UI controls and UI behaviors for making your application looks amazing. So we have like a navigation bar for you already and a tab bar that you can fully customize it. All right, so you have also a lot of controls like segmented controls, icon button, icon toggle button as well, and card or the ship or another kind of controls. We also have layouts, for example, the auto layout here, as you can see, while the size and the margin change, the layout will recalculate itself to make everything looking beautiful. So it's like a responsive layout, let's say like that. And about the tooling, let me play a video here when I talk. So we have VS Code integration support with the IntelliSense on the XAML, and the IntelliSense is not for the XAML controls. You can also see methods on the code behind, and that will just work like a Charmin integration. You will also have IntelliSense on the C# area. You have the XAML and the C# hot reload integrated as well. So here you show like on the C#, when we will change some values on C# and triggering the hot reload, and that code will just updated it during the debug session. So you don't need to rebuild your application in order uh, to see the changes. So that make your life way easier. All right. So you don't need to dev inner loop every time. And we also have the code navigation from XAML and to a code behind. So you, for example, you are in the Xbind, and the Xbind is pointing to a method. If you press F12 there, or your key to go to definition, that will bring you to the C# file on your inside of your model or inside your code behind, and you can go from there. So it's way easier to navigate on the code. Okay, let me drink a little bit water here. And we also have a plugin. There's no platform for Figma, so it's very easy to find this one. I cannot show that yet because I don't have a Figma account. I need to create that, but it's basically something that we made that you can generate XAML from a Figma file. So you have like a Figma design there. You can select that, and you can have a XAML for that. So just copy and paste the XAML on your Visual Studio or Visual Studio Code and run that, and that UI looks the same. And we also support the styling, so everything related to colors, to theming. You have also a XAML style file, so you also grab that style and put it on your application. And also you can test that inside the Figma itself, because we support WebAssembly. So you have application running using a WebAssembly, and you can see how that looks like, how that feels. For example, when you press a button, how the animation will behave, on how the colors will change. And you can support also custom data on this version on Figma that you're running inside the WebAssembly using a JSON file with those data, and we will do the bindings through the JSON file. So the idea here of this Figma plugin is to to reduce the time that you can deliver your application. So we have today the approach that is designed to code. It's very rigid, it's very opinionated, and sometimes that does not generate the correct code or the best code solution. And you have the range of that is more error prone and expensive. That is the more loops between the devs and designers. And you have the design to UI, where we fit, and it's more flexible, and we have a short feedback loop, because from our tests, everything is working so fine right now, and this is still in preview, so we can use that for free in preview if I'm not wrong. And this is a Figma plugin, so you just need to try out that plugin. So this is basically how in architecture menus how that works. So we have in Figma, we have the component library and the live preview plugin. And with the live preview plugin, you can debug. It's not debugging, but you can see your application running on our WASM version and see how that looks like. And that will generate the XAML for you, and you can put that XAML inside your Uno platform with those bindings, navigations, and localizations, everything integrated for you. And a little bit about of our customers, because we already have big players that use Uno, for example, Air Canada, National Geographic, and Parkland, and many others. And look like those two applications here. So one is running the mobile, and another is in a tablet that is a larger device and screen device. So you can see like this is pixel perfect, because the proportion of the things and the space and the margin, the padding are preserved between those screen sizes. So this is pretty much amazing, and it's out of the box for you. It's that for free. You don't need to do anything else. Another example is a Trade Zero application that is about the market. So so they really did the performance, and they love the performance about the Uno. There is a community support and deliveries for mobile, web, and desktop. We have also the NuGet Package Explorer that you can try that out today. Just go to the NuGet.org, search for a NuGet plugin, a NuGet package there, and you will see like on the left menu, you can see to open that on the NuGet Explorer, where you can see what is inside that NuGet package. Okay, so this is pretty much amazing. As well as a WASM version of the Windows application. And we have the Kawa. This is a application that was a WPF application before, and then they want to put that on the web using WebAssembly. So they choose Uno because Uno target was, and the XAML between WPF and WinUI is pretty close. So probably they have a little bit of changes, but they could win a lot of time reusing the existing code and deliver it to other platforms. All right. And we have this other one, this UK Central Laser Facility. It's right now delivers for Windows, Android, and Linux. Uh, so yeah, I mean, more and more platforms. So if you need to target Linux, Uno is your way to go. And you have here the Uno Playground that you can try out and see, for example, play with XAML here and put some JSON as the data context and see how that will looks like on WASM. So you don't need to download anything yet. Like, okay, I just want to try out the Uno, but I don't want to download any bits on my machine. You can go to their browser, go to the playground.platform.uno and try that out and see if that is good for you and for your project. You can play a little bit with that. And we have the Uno Gallery that will show you right now. Let's see. So this is the Uno Gallery application, and you can support like dark and light mode. And here we have, let's switch here to light mode. And we have here the styles. So for example, the material, how that will looks like, and on the text blocks, on the jacket. And we also have the Fluent design from the Microsoft. So how those controls looks like on those, on this style, and also Cupertino. So it's pretty easy to customize your application, and that will looks amazing everywhere. So you have like the toolkit here. We have the chip group. So where this is a control inside the Uno toolkit, that library that I showed before. You have the chip control, where you can uh, where you can do like those kind of buttons here, and you can inspect the XAML code for that. So if you like this one, you just grab here, copy that, and put on your project and see how that will looks like. Okay, so it's pretty much amazing, this one. And we have a lot of like a calendar view. So following the style of the Cupertino, the Fluent style, and the material one. So if you need a calendar view, this is also your way to go. Is out of the box for you, and will works beautiful across all the platforms. So now it's time for another demo, and I have the Visual Studio here. And while this is building, I just want to know if there is any question so far that I can answer. Maybe, if no, I will move forward with this. Okay, I don't think so. So I will run. And while it's starting, let me talk a little bit about this application. This application is a media application where I use the YouTube as my database, and I stream music from YouTube using this one. And right now, this supports Windows and Android and iOS as well. This application, I have one version of this built on Xamarin Forms, and also I started to work that migrating to the MAUI. And now I choose this application to move from some reforms to Uno and learn about the Uno and see if how is the curve of how is the learning curve to like a Xamarin developer to migrate to Uno and see how that goes. And that is pretty very well, I would say. So to stream the music, to play the music, I use the VLC library. That is an open source library as well, and there is a bindings from C++ VLC to C Sharp. So I am using that, and for the YouTube, uh, for the YouTube side of the things, I am using the YouTube Explode open source library. And I will show you. I cannot show you the macOS today because my Mac is not available today. But I will show the Android version. This is more development. Is advanced mode, let's say, and I will also show the Windows version. And this is work in progress, so it's not very beautiful yet. So I have here a search bar where I can search for music. So I already have one predefined here. I believe that you cannot hear the music, but you will click here and that will play. This is Skia Sharp, okay? This all this uh, this part here is the Skia Sharp, and I grabbed that from a Javier sample on Xamarin Forms that called the Pulse Music. So I just go there and stole his code, made some modifications, and make this work. And let me pause here. Also, there is support for notifications. So whereas you can see the name of the music and you can play the music from here. Now the music is playing again. I can pause and I can go forward and move backwards, all on the notification. So like I want to build a media application and feel like with everything that that could have. All right. So this works beautiful on Android. So let me pause it here real quickly and go to Windows and let me run also here the Android. Then we can compare those two versions. On Windows, let me reduce a little bit here and let's click search. So let me try to put the windows like in the same screen resolution of the emulator. That way it looks like more, oh, come on, pixel perfection. So yeah, and also as I mentioned before, I love the community to kit.maui. I love the Maui thing. So I have here uh, I will put that to play next. Okay, this is a long press thing that is out of the box for Uno, and I have this context menu also that is out of the box. And if I play next, I will have here a toast notification that will me show that application made something. And I will move to the player and pause the music real quickly. Let's move to the Windows. And then right click on the Windows, do the long press on the mobile. So let's play this another music here, and now it's playing. And let me pause really a little bit. And if I do the same thing, let's say play next here, I will have here those notification on Windows, but on Windows it's a little bit different, right? Oh, okay. Let me try again because for some reason uh, that disappears. So here, music added to the playlist. So the toast on the Windows go to this notification center, and I have support for that here at the owner. And let's take a look at a little bit on the code, how I do that, how this code is structured. So I for my navigation, I have like a shell page where I hold all my other pages, all my other content. So the way that we navigation on Windows is kind of different from we navigation on Xamarin Forms / Maui. So just to change the content of the frame or that page, that shell area. So I am changing. So during the navigation, I'm changing this frame here, what this frame is showing. And this is amazing because is everything synchronous. It's not asynchronous API. So I'm just ready to go there. And you do the management from the fly out navigation or the tab navigation if you wish. And for the player page, for example, it's pretty much the same that I grabbed from the Javier codes that is Xamarin Forms, so we have the grid and have the grid row definitions that will looks like the same. That animation to make the image like the disco effect running. So for example, this disco effect here, this animation is this one here. So I use a storyboard animation and I attached that storyboard animation on the circle image. And the circle image here, let's see if I can go. No, because it's complaining. Okay, the demo god's not very happy with me. So I have the circle image that is just a Skia canvas. Okay, so this is Skia Sharp where I grab the image and do some transformations there. All right, so uh, and the circle progress is this is the progress bar here that shows like where the music is in time being. So this animation here is also in Skia Sharp, so is the circle progress implementation here as well. And I just draw the circles, and this code is pretty much the same code from Javier because this is Skia Sharp, so it's the same everywhere. And I put that here. only change that I made is following the guidelines of the Matthew Lebarski. He's the guy behind the Skia Sharp. So he's teaching us how we can create a Skia Sharp view without care about the pixel, the density of the screen or the pixel area. And you just do any value that is easy to calculate. So I use like the base size as 100 because that is a round number and it's very easy to calculate, and I scale from that. So this is a tip for you that build the Skia Sharp applications. Go there, see that link, and your life will change for better. So keep going here and have like the view models. I pick the player view model because it's like a huge one. And as you can see, I am using the community toolkit MVVM so I can have all those observable properties, the relay commands, so I can use all that goodie here at Uno without any issue so far. And I have a basic view model here, and also I use all the power of the community toolkit MVVM, also the message center. So you can use that message center from the community toolkit here, and that works pretty much amazing. Oh, don't care about this. As I say, it's a work in progress, and I commit everything to the master, so no one is coding review my code. So yeah, that is a little bit of junky here. So please ignore that. And also I have my services here. I will show you the Ninja services because I'm using the VLC library. And there is a trick here. If you use the VLC library, I don't want to show the video, so I use this command here. Then it will just be the audio. And the way the VLC works in C++, that triggers everything in another thread, and you are good to go. And you need to schedule it to your main thread those events inside the VLC. So it's what I'm doing here. Every event I'm triggering, scheduling to the right thread, and I do my things here, and I have my own actions because I don't use events. Events are evil, and actions are way easier to cleaner, and also actions is type safer, so you don't have the object sender. You have a strongly typed that you want, and you can use it just like use an event using plus equals or equals and going for that. And here I have my playlist that will have factor later to another place. And about the toast, this is pretty much amazing because I just grabbed the code from the community toolkit.maui and bring it to the Uno. And with a few changes, I could make that work on Uno. That is pretty easy. I was very impressed at how easy it was to port this code from the community toolkit.maui to Uno. And it's amazing how C# is beautiful because everything works like under the hood. And since Uno uses now the .NET 6 mobile targets, and .NET MAUI also uses the .NET 6 mobile targets. So a lot of the code is shared between those two frameworks when you are like in the platform level. So you will not have too much work between migrating between those two frameworks. And just showing the code here. And if you go to the community toolkit, you will see like this is the most of the part, this is exactly the same code. And like for the toast as well, so pretty much the same. So this is amazing that it's very easy to port one to another area. And I believe this is everything that I have to show to you today. And thank you very much for attending. Let me go here, start here. I don't know why I closed it. Slide. So be in touch, go to the platform.uno. There is a lot of links there to our platform's playground that you can play a little bit. We have a channel on Discord as well. I can share the link later, but it's the same .NET server from the Microsoft. So I believe it's aka.mes/discord.net Discord is the global link. And you can go find us on the GitHub as github.com/Uno platform. So yeah, thank you very much, and hope that you have questions.